Hi, I'm Jeanette Wilson, and here in the studio with me today, I am so excited to have with me amazing healer from South Africa, Craig Lyle. Craig and I met on a workshop in Auckland last year, and at the time our paths crossed, both of us were talking about how we'd picked up that in the future there was going to be this technology that was going to be available to the world. We both got the sense it was going to be a box, it was going to be to do with vibration, and both of us thought we were inventing it. Well, what's happened in this last week or so is Craig's got in touch with me to say, try this, and I have had my mind completely blown. When he told me about this product, I have to say I was totally skeptical because I didn't believe the technology was there yet. I said, leave it with me, Craig, for 14 days, and I will tell you if that does what you're telling me it does. Now, he's an amazing healer himself. I'm an amazing healer. You've seen what I do. Both of us are absolutely mind blown by this thing. And I didn't need 14 days. Day 3, I was ringing him saying, I want one. Craig, tell me a little bit more about this little wee device.
Well, Jeanette, I'm still hoping to get my one back. As I lent it to you just knowing, because the experiences that I had myself, I just knew that if I could just get you to give it a try, you would pick up what I do. And as we know as healers, we sort of feel that energy, you know. So I felt straight away when I started to use this thing, I felt, but this is giving the kind of energy that I feel in my hands, that myself when I'm doing healing. So I used it for myself, and I'm blessed to have quite good health. So there wasn't anything specific that I needed to heal for myself. But I found after a few days of using this, I just felt really happy. I just was getting up in the morning and thinking, man, I really just feel on top of the world, you know.
When he came round, I thought he'd been on drugs, because he came in the ranch slider and he's like, I'm just so happy, I'm just so happy, I'm just so happy. And it's like, well, I know Craig, and Craig's not normally that bubbly and effervescent, and you were, weren't you?
It's actually really brought up my true nature, because I'm a really friendly, outgoing, bubbly person. But of course, life gets hold of us, and all those fears and things hold you back in certain ways and what have you. And it's just opened me up completely, you know. Yeah. And so I've used it myself and had amazing results. I've been to some friends of mine. I put it on a couple, and I put it on this friend of mine, chatting to them about it. And I had a cycle that I ran from just a general cycle. And we sat chatting, whatever, and ran it from 45, 50 minutes, whatever it was. And he'd had a sore left leg. But that's not what I was running from. I just had a general program. I said, I'll just put this on you and see how you feel. So I wasn't going specifically to deal with the pain in his leg. And he'd done his healing after an hour, and he got up to go and turn on the kettle. When he came back, he said, man, the pain in my leg has dropped by 60 to 80%.
That's good.
Which is a huge thing.
Good,
That's like a one session of 50 minutes, not specifically for that pain, just a general kind of balancing him. And he said, man, my pain feels a lot less. So I did his wife as well, and she had something come up like on the left eye of her, something just started to, she felt an energy there. And we often know as healers, when you put your hand on someone, you know there's a difficulty, and you put your hand there, you'll feel the energy, and the person will feel it, and often it gets worse. And I say to them, look, it may get worse because I'm actually bringing that energy out and getting rid of it. So it may feel like it's getting sore, and I'm a healer, I'm supposed to be making it better.
Yes.
But just hang in. I'm going to get rid of this in 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes instead of 5 weeks and 3 weeks or whatever. And she felt that same. This device started just bringing up this pain in her brow, and it took a little while. It went away, and she just felt. Afterwards she said, "Man, I just feel so much lighter. I just feel completely different." So they were sold. I literally signed them up straight away. They said, man, I like you, I've just got to have one of these. It was just one session. I've done a lot of other people. A friend of mine has got horses up in Kerry, and she's run it with herself and her kids and her horses, and just had unbelievable results, you know. So with mine, I haven't used it a lot because I've had it with other people a lot of the time. So when I go home tonight, I just got to make sure that I've got mine with me. That's why I've actually got it strapped to me, so I know I've got it.
And I don't know what I'm going to do without it. I'm almost addicted to this thing.
Yeah, you've got your own one there.
Yeah, I've been running programs 3 or 4 times. It's really, really simple to use, guys. It arrives in a little box like this, and That's it. It's only a small little device, about the size of half a credit card, a little bit thicker, really light. Inside there's a quantum microchip.
Yeah, so there's a quantum microchip in there. So I've just got mine on me. But what it really does, and I'll just show you my cell phone's just running a program here at the moment. So it's just running that program. So all you do is you use your smart cell phone. That's what you use, and it connects to a cloud. Now that's a very secure cloud, which is quite important, particularly for most people today. We know that all these other, Google and all these things that we're all connected to with our cell phones. They're kind of watching everything you do. They talk about Big Brother. It's like Big Brother knows everything you do. And you go to the toilet, that they know that you've been. It's they're watching everything you do. But this cloud is completely separate from that. There's no Microsoft technology. These German guys have developed this cloud themselves. They have patents around some of the technology and science in the cloud and the device itself. So everything goes to the cloud. So through your smartphone, so the biggest part of this device is your smartphone. The actual device itself is really, really small. And you can just put it in your pocket, carry it on you. So you go to whatever program you want. It then downloads, and it only takes less than a minute.
Yeah.
It just kind of runs. And you can see it just running through, and it gets in. It says, I'm now downloaded and ready to go. So once you've downloaded it onto the microchip here, that program of frequency, and I'm running at the moment a balance program, which is just a general all-round balance for my health and whatever you, and it has the frequencies for that, and it's a whole lot of frequencies. It's not just a frequency, and the frequencies vary. I mean, at the moment I'm sitting, and I might need your eyes to tell me what I'm at.
1,528.7 hertz, very precise.
Very precise, and there's 140,000 different frequencies in this device. And so it'll run a whole lot of frequencies, and they can be from low frequencies to high frequencies. It's what your body just needs to balance yourself. And you just run it like I got it here. You don't even know it's here. The winter, I just put it in my pocket, put a jacket or a jersey over me, and I don't even know it's there. I carry on working on my computer. It doesn't affect me at all. And what we found is that once you finish running it, it seems to just keep running. It's like your cells have got to that frequency, and they just keep vibrating at that frequency. It just keeps going at that frequency.
Yep.
And people are saying afterwards they run the pain cycle, takes their pain away from them, and they're going the rest of the day doing their daily chores, thinking the pain's going to come back, and it just keeps staying away because the frequencies are running through your body. And that's what Tesla, Einstein, and all those guys from that time, they knew that frequencies, everything has frequencies. Einstein said everything is energy.
Yes,
every single,
that's
even
right.
the solid table,
Yep.
it's vibrating at a certain frequency, and everything is like. And they knew that, they just didn't have the science to put it all together. So this Markus Schmecker, who's a German guy, and he's also not just a very clever guy with this stuff. He went and stayed in India for 12 years with the monks.
Yep.
When he was fairly young. So he's a spiritual person as well. He understands the spirituality of things. He understands Chinese medicine, acupuncture, all the Chinese things of how you have calendars of certain times of the day to do certain healing. So it's not just a frequency device. It's all that spiritual stuff. He has a very high knowledge on that as well. And you'll know, you've done some readings on people and what it comes up with. We as healers can pick up on someone and tell them something that happened in their past. You've had a trauma when you were a child. This happened, did your parents get divorced or something? Because I sensed that and picked it up. This thing reads your auric field.
Yeah.
And as you know,
incredibly so.
it gives you that kind of information. And you're saying, it's mind-blowing. How does this thing do that? So
How does it do it? Yeah.
These scientists have really taken science and quantum physics, which what it is, and kind of spirituality, and they've somehow molded the two together and have this amazing little device that anybody can use. You can use it anywhere, anytime.
It truly is amazing. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience with it. First thing that happened was somebody got in touch with me and said, and they sent me a really lovely message. It was a heartfelt message to say they'd come across this thing. It was absolutely amazing. They felt it in their heart. It was going to transform humanity. And I had a quick look at the information on the internet, and I thought, I can't believe that thing could do that. And I looked at the price, and I thought, nah, not interested. Thank you very much, because I love my purple powder. Those of you that follow me regularly will know I love my PXP Royale, my purple rice. Take 2 teaspoonfuls a day and I feel amazing on it. I couldn't perceive I could feel even better. The first program I run when Craig gave me this was a relaxation one. I am used to meditating, I'm used to relaxing, and I went to a totally different level. The next program I ran, I should have run relax, but I didn't. I ran release, and I found myself with thoughts arising, old anger, old pain, and I ran it at bedtime, and I hardly slept a wink because I'd run a release program, but it showed me that really does work as well. My favourite one that I've run so far is called Being, and I run that when I'm meditating, and it feels like it takes me 2 or 3 levels higher, deeper in meditation. It's mind-blowing. The turning point for me was at the gym. I've recently joined a gym in Orewa, or Silverdale, and I was on a shoulder press, and all of a sudden I was euphoric, like could not smile, any bigger smile on my face, absolutely motionless for at least 3 minutes. Little voice in my head saying, people are going to think you're weird, you better move, but the rest of me saying, oh, this is so amazing, I just want to stay here. This has to be experienced. Now, you mentioned earlier it helps with pain relief. I understand there's been some scientific studies to prove the efficacy of this product. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So it's called a level 2 medical device, and it has approval. So in Germany, and as you know, people in Germany are very precise with their stuff, and they do things really properly. So it has German approval for pain relief, depression, and polymyalgia. And I think there may be something else, but it has approval for that. Yep. So there are 2,000 practitioners that they have, and that's doctors, physiotherapists, chiropractors, healing practitioners, probably like you and I, Reiki, whatever it may be.
Psychologists.
And all that kind of stuff. They've done these clinical tests, and they've actually proven through these clinical tests that this device helps people with depression.
Yeah.
That it helps people with pain, and they have clinical trials and tests. You can't get that approval, and it's quite interesting, and I don't know whether it's the German government or quite how their departments work, but they actually approached Healy and told them, you need to start certifying this, because Healy wasn't doing it. They were doing all the clinical trials, and then this department actually got hold of them and said, look, we've got all your documentation of the results you're getting, and you actually need to apply for approval so that people know that this machine is having these kind of results for depression and pain. So in Germany, they actually have approval for more than they have. So FDA, which is the American approval, and only launched in America, and it might be close to 2 months ago now, I think only a month or 6 weeks ago, because they wanted to get the FDA approval first. And they have FDA approval for pain and depression. And you'll know FDA, you don't get that lightly, you know. That's
no,
strict
guidelines that have to be met.
Very strict guidelines and clinical trials and whatever. So they have 2,000 practitioners that they have clinical trials with, and they've done over 5,000 trials on this device. And it's come a long way. This is the latest development of it, but it's been around with a time waiver since the early 2000s, you know.
So I'll explain a little bit about the time waiver. That's quite an expensive, bigger device that a healing therapist would typically use to assess somebody's health and decide what they need.
Yeah.
And so that technology that once was so big and so expensive is now in this smaller device that anybody could use.
Yeah. So Marcus Schmeeker started the time waiver and these frequency programs and whatever, but like all things, you know, you start with a big thing. And the main guy behind this is, from a frequency point of view, is Nino Nuno. And he's a Portuguese doctor who has clinics around the world. And he is probably the world's authority on frequency healing. And that he developed these 140,000 gold frequencies. And that's why the program that I'm running here is a gold program. And it has 140,000 different frequencies. And these are ones that he's tried and tested and had clinical results of how they work. So Nino Nuno's the studying and stuff and the tests that he's run, that's the foundation of the Healy. And then they've just developed specific ones from there. So that time waiver technology has been around for a long time. As it's just developed, it's obviously they've got into smaller packages, worked out how to now use your smartphone to download it and carry it in a cloud, which is a very secure cloud. No one can access the data that's in there. Once you go into the cloud and information goes, just a binary code goes in there for you, and they're saying if you lose your master key, they can't find it for you. So there's no worries about people getting information of yours, personal health, if you're depressed and all that kind of stuff. No one gets any of your information. It goes into that cloud and no one can get access to it. They said if you lost your master key, it would take their expert guys probably 10 years to find you. So it really can't be done, So it really is a very secure cloud, and all the technology is carried in this cloud, and the phone just becomes, it's like us as healers. We know that it's God and Spirit is where the healing comes from.
Absolutely.
So we use it as a cloud. So God's up in the cloud. So we're using that cloud, and we're just able to tap into that cloud and ask for our angels and our guides, whatever, to just give us information from there. Like the prophecy that you and I both had, was prophesied for me, and I've known that innately in myself. I've known that this device was coming to me, and that we'd heal people. That we're tapping into that cloud. We're tapping into God's cloud and getting that information. And we're very blessed to be able to do that. And anybody can do it.
Absolutely,
It's just,
it's a
and this
skill
device,
we can all learn.
This device will help you, elevate you to that level. People that are doing meditations and that now are finding just unbelievable results. They're stepping up to another level. So this will help you become more spiritual. And in time, if we could all be as gifted as Jeanette and myself are, then this world would be a beautiful place, because we'd know how to heal each other and heal the world. So it goes into the cloud. It's your phone just collects that data, what's needed for you, and then just sends it to this device. In the same way that we're connecting to God's cloud, and it sends it to this device, which I guess is our little brain inside here, and translates it through things we understand. We all get different visions. My main God is a Native American, so a lot of the things I get from him are kind of Native American stuff that helps me, and I learn to understand those pictures and how to translate them to people. This device does the same. It quantumly figures out what's needed for you and just sends you those frequencies and balances you and makes you healthy.
I'll just share with you a couple of things that have happened for me with the device. I got my partner Andrew to try it, and he said it feels a lot like a TENS machine. If you've ever had a TENS machine for, say, pain relief, and it is and it isn't, because there's a lot more frequencies here that can be used, and there's an interactive part that isn't the case with a TENS machine. So with a TENS machine, you're just receiving a frequency. But with this one, there's a program that runs, the frequency fluctuates, and there's like this little conversation energetically that goes back between the program and you, and it will adjust what it's sending you. It might shorten the time, it might lower the frequencies, increase the frequencies, whatever your body needs. And the other thing that's really, really amazing, and I'm going to do another video with Craig about this, is on one level this device can be used for a person. So anybody can learn to use this. It's very, very simple. A child could learn to use it. The other end of the scale is for therapists like myself. One of the things I've been able to do with this is take photographs of my clients over Zoom. So on a Zoom call, I can photograph them. And psychically, I sense what's wrong with their body, but I can also run an analysis using this. It scans the aura, and it does also a resonance analysis. And while I'm sending healing to my client, frequencies that are required can also be sent from this device. The thing that's blown me away, and this is new for me, I've only experienced this healing in the last week, and there's a lot still for me to learn, and over the coming weeks I'm going to be inviting Craig and others into the studio so that we can all learn more about what this is, how it works, what it might help with. But something that's really amazed me is I've now done those aura photographs for 8 people, and they will give me the top 5 things that those people need, and only one of those 8 people had mental health issues, as in a diagnosed mental health condition. And of those aura photographs, only the one for the person with the mental health issue came up with, you need to run to mental health programs. It's like, how does that do that? And I haven't got the answer to that yet. That my skeptical brain is still like, how the hell can that happen? Now, you had a lovely story about a horse with its temperament. Can you share us that,
so
story? Yeah.
That's why we call this thing tonight mind-blowing, because it is just mind-blowing when you see what this thing can do. And it's mind-blowing. It's hard to understand. So I actually breed with Native American horses. I have horses back in South Africa, and I work with horses a lot. So as much as I do healing on people, I also do a lot of healing on horses, and I understand a lot about their temperament. And healing with horses is actually a lot quicker than people, because horses, once you connect to the energy, they just submit to it and they absorb it much quicker. We're a bit more stupid. It takes us more time to, our skeptical brain kicks in and whatever. When horses connect to, and animals generally, when they connect to a healer, they just surrender it and they just know it's coming. So a friend of mine up in Kerikeri, who have done a lot of work on their horses as well, had a horse that was really, we refer to it as hot in horse terms. When a horse gets hot and they're agitated and whatever, this horse was really kind of worked up and whatever. And another friend of mine, Enki, went around there, ran a 2-minute program on this horse to calm it down. So it was in a stable and really hot and agitated and fidgety and whatever. She ran this program for 2 minutes. This horse calmed right down and literally came up through the stable and put its head down into Inky and literally just almost put its head into her lap, So even with animals, they're just picking up these frequencies and it's just calming them down. Because all that is with a horse is fight or flight. That's the main thing. As we are as humans, often it's those things that create the difficulties we have in us. And horses are very much fight and flight. So this horse was obviously in a fight and flight mode, for whatever reason that is. And those of us that work with horses will know it's not always easy to get that to calm down, because when they agitate and have something in their mind, horses are really big, strong animals, and they know that they're strong, so it's quite difficult to. And in 2 minutes, this horse literally just calmed down. So it's taking that agitated state, and it's sending a frequency and vibration that's rebalancing this horse. And it's okay, you don't have to worry. No one's going to have you for dinner today. It's okay. Within 2 minutes, those frequencies going into the horse calmed them down completely, and just came up to someone and just knew that person had shown them that everything's okay. And that's how horses work. That's why the dominant horse in a herd of horses doesn't need to be strong and kicking everybody. The horses trust them, and it was just knew this is someone I can trust, because they've come here and just shown me everything's okay, and just went straight up to her and as calm as. People have done it on dogs and you see the dog lying down on the couch with his feet up, and it's like just about snoring and whatever, with an armband around it, just within minutes. And that's on that. The Healy experience, you'll see those kind of things,
All right, so we've not mentioned the Healy experience yet. This is a Facebook page where you can go to see Healy testimonials from people around the world, people that haven't been paid to give testimonials. These are people that have usually had the devices for 3-4 days and are just so blown away by the results they just have to share, much like I'm doing with you tonight. One last thing I want to ask you about, Craig, because this again is something that blew my mind. I met a chap earlier this week. It was the first time I've met him. Short, yeah, it's an unusual name.
Dutch,
okay. And he was talking about his daughter, who's 8. Tell us the story about Short's daughter.
Yeah. So Short and Inky, who are friends of mine, and that's where I got it from, and where I've got to get this device. They have a daughter who's really badly dyslexic. Now I'm dyslexic, but kind of slightly. Sometimes my mind gets ahead of me, and I'll just change a couple of letters around or whatever. And I'm a little bit dyslexic, but she suffers really badly from dyslexia, and she's 8, and she really struggles to read. And they'll teach her something today, and by tomorrow it's kind of gone out of her mind. So it's a dyslexia that you just can't really do anything about. You can teach someone, and then you have to reteach them the next day. So during this lockdown, and this lockdown's been really good for a lot of us, these kind of things have come out and whatever, and spiritual shift and change, and it's made us look at things differently. So they did some programs they ran with her for learning, So they're learning programs as well. So they ran this learning program on her for a week or two during the lockdown. And she went back to school, and the teacher actually got hold of Inky that day and said, I don't know what you guys have done during lockdown, but this kid can now read. You know, it's obviously she's starting off,
Yeah.
but it's like something's changed in her brain, and suddenly it's like she gets it. Before, I'd have to keep showing her the same things, and she'd get it this week, then the weekend at home, come back on Monday, and we're kind of back to square one again, you know. And she said, this kid's like, something's changed in her. What have you been doing at homeschooling? And Inky told her that we've been running this device on her, and it's been miraculous. She's now reading. She has a younger sister of 4, and she's now reading bedtime stories to her sister.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, which is just amazing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Which she wasn't doing before. So much so that the teacher at the school has actually asked Inky to come in to the classroom and actually run some programs on some of the kids, because she's so astounded. As we keep saying, it's mind-blowing that this child in 2 weeks can have gone from dyslexic and unable to read to be able to read. And obviously there's, you know, it's not a miracle cure. There's a path that she needs to go down, but it's almost like it's the frequencies have helped her to get that stuff that her mind and the neurons in her brain have a bit of trigger in a way that she now understands things. It's connected some of the dots that weren't connecting. And it's just, you know, and the great thing about this device, it's not about selling it and making money or whatever. It's not what it's about at all. We as healers know, you know, we have to charge people because we need to pay the bills and whatever. But it's not about that. We want to heal people. And this device for me will heal people around the world. And the more people that we can heal, the more blessed that we are.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that, you know, since Craig left this with me, it's not left my side. I've run 3 or 4 programs every day. I feel amazing with it. There's some really high percentages about how people that buy these Healys that use it every day. Could you share those statistics with us?
Yeah. So, and we can bring that up later on our presentations. We'll bring that up. But they've done surveys, and 15% of people, one healing, feel a difference. 30% of people with 1 to 3 healings feel a difference, and it goes up from there, that up to 96% of people within 7 to 10 healings. So take it a week to 10 days, 94, 96, I'll take it at 94% of people feel it's benefited in some way. I mean, that is mind-blowing in itself. So on the recommendation, 94% of people that have a Healy would recommend it to somebody. So
That's
94% of people that use it are saying, I'm getting some form of benefit out of it. I would recommend it to somebody else. That in itself is mind-blowing. And as Jeanette and I know from healing people, you sometimes do healing on people and it's not often, and they say, well, I didn't feel anything. And then you talk to their family or their wife, whatever, a few days later, a week later, and say, gee, man, this person's changed. You know, some people don't feel it themselves, but we know that the energetic experience happens for them anyway, and they get healing. They don't necessarily just feel it, but a week later, even themselves, they say, well, I actually feel better, you know, but their mind doesn't quite put it to that. So even that 4% that are saying they wouldn't recommend it, they probably are getting a benefit, and if they stuck at it long enough, they would realize that, you know. So that's astounding.
It is astounding, yeah. Thank you so much for coming along and explaining about this amazing device to us. If you want to know more about the Healy, if you'd like to try one yourself, then the best thing you can do, there's 2 things I recommend. One is popping along to the Facebook page, which is the Healy Experience. I'll post a link for that below. And the other thing is join us on a Zoom call. Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we get together to answer questions and to share testimonials from New Zealand people who have had this device, used it themselves, and who want to tell their stories. So that's 8 o'clock New Zealand time, 9 a.m. UK time. So if you're interested in joining us to find out more about the Healy, join us then. Thank you, Craig.
Oh, thank you, Jeanette. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
See ya. Okay. All right.